Mm-hmm. And sure enough, it is.
It's a trick. It's a lie. You know, there was times when I felt so bad. I felt the spirit tell me, well, why don't you just go ahead and end your life and be done with it? And just to get you out of the confusion of who was talking to me, let me tell you something. How did I know that wasn't God talking to me? Because there's no sin in it. Bible says thou shalt not kill. And I brought this point up to my friend yesterday. I said, if I went and killed, God forbid, and I'm not saying this, I said, if I went crazy and killed everybody in this room, I go to prison, I can still ask God for forgiveness. I might spend the rest of my life in jail, and I might die in jail. But because I repented and became a Christian in jail, I can still go to heaven. When you commit the act of suicide, the Bible says thou shalt not kill. You can't ask God for forgiveness if you're dead.
Yep. At least while you're alive, you have another day.
People, you gotta realize that this is not the way to go. I know it gets bad, and I know you get depressed, and I know, you feel alone half the time because there's nobody to reach out to. And here's another hard fact I want you to understand. If you're gonna try to look out for friends to try to help you out of your rut, you're not gonna find them. Your friends will not save you. I mentioned that in the song Never Fear.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you the better truth. I said some of your friends are not there because they either wrapped up in their own problems or they really don't care. There is always one person that will always be there for you. And I said person because he came out of the womb of Mary.
Mm-hmm. And he became a person.
And he became a person. And his name is Jesus Christ. God came into a form of a person to wipe out all the sins that we have committed. Because he loved us. And he wanted us to get right. He's your only source to battle your depression. He's the only source to battle your suicidal thoughts. You have to wake up. And like I said, it is crazy too, because when I told him about how Satan is trying to move him out of the way to get to his daughter, it broke him.
Yeah, because it's a different perspective, because a suicide is unaliving. We have to go back and forth due to the algorithm. It's a selfish event. Because you're not really caring about what happens afterwards, the cleanup part. Who's going to see it? Who's going to be the first person to find the body? It's a selfish event. That's why there's almost like how we believe that it's almost like literally you're signing your death sentence to hell freely without Satan even needing you to mark your name or anything. It's almost like a one-way ticket down. And it's because it is a selfish event. At the end of the day, you're deciding upon yourself to tune out, like you're done. And you're pretty much giving up your life that's a gift and be like, return to sender. Like, I don't want it.
Yeah, and that's another point that I mentioned. I say God gave you the gift of life.
Mm-hmm.
You ending your life is telling God, F your life with your gift.
Yeah.
F your gift. I don't want it. That's a rejection towards God.
Yeah, because you're meant to be here for a reason. And I get it. Like, there's a big correlation between depression and suicide. It's not to say that every person that is depressed is going to do it, but there is a higher correlation which means there's a higher relationship between people who commit suicide and depression. Like it's definitely something that's like depression can do something to you that causes that, and it's like, well then why? And it is. It's like if you're mentally not there, the devil can definitely creep in and almost have at it.
Right.
And it might not take much. Like it's just a simple, it's a way out. And I think that's why there is a higher correlation between kids whose parents done that, because they in turn view it as a way out because that's what their parents did.
Right.
And you don't want that, because it's not a way out. If anything, you enter into another whole thing that you don't realize it's an even worse experience than you ever would have on this earth.
And you know what? That's what you know what, you could even say this, and my dad brought up a good point. When you open your kids up to that avenue of ending their lives too because mommy and daddy did it, you're creating a generational curse.
Yeah. You're making it okay, even though it's not okay.
You're creating a curse among your family.
Yeah.
And like I said, and I told him, I said, you know, we go through so much. It's amazing, because I told to Lady Ms. and Ray, not only the Christmas album, but like the Bible album.
Yeah.
I told her, you know, I told Ray, I said, when I look back after, you know, you hear everything, I was amazed of how much crap that the Lord had to get me out of.
Yeah.
How much bad I used to be. You know, I can show you pictures where I look like now. People say I look great, but a couple of years ago, I looked like crap because of all the stuff that I allow to affect. And that's the thing another factor you have to come to terms with. A lot of the stuff that we go through with depression and suicide thoughts and even just bad things, about 90% of the situations that we're involved in, we caused it.
Yeah.
You know, I said it's plenty to you about our marriage. I said probably 90% of our marriage is probably like the problems that are in our marriage is my fault. Because I am a roller coaster. And I admitted that I'm a roller coaster. So the moment you take ownership and realize that a lot of the situations that we go through, I'm causing it.
Yeah. But it's one hell of a ride, I'll tell you that much. But at the same time, you have a moment, you can still make changes and
that's
better.
The point I was about to say. A lot of when you find out that you are accountable for at least 90% of the stuff that you went through, when you realize you can own up to your mistakes, own up to your faults, you empty the blame out of your system, and then you can embrace more of the change.
Yeah, that's one of the techniques we use in therapy. Is called, you got to call out what it is. So like we refer to those type of thoughts, intrusive thoughts that invade your mind, those things that like infiltrate you, and you have to like call it out for what they are. Like they're negative thoughts, or if you've done something, you speak it out. Like, what did you do? Like what? And that kind of helps you almost comb through it, because then a lot of times, a lot of the things that people go through, it's a lot more bigger in their head than in reality. And then once they realize like, oh, in reality it's not that big and it's fixable. Anything is fixable as long as you have air in your lungs. Whatever you've done, it's fixable.
And that's another great point. Anything, like you said, anything you could do, a lot of times it's fixable as long as you're alive. You still will have to pay a price for everything that you do on this earth.
Of
Just
course.
like I brought up that point about, if I murdered everybody around me, even though I repented from it, I still would have to pay the price of being in prison.
I'd rather pay it amongst the living than I do in my death.
And that's another great point. And like I said, you don't want to go that route. Anybody that's listening, and it's sad because I don't want to. It's sad when how people don't like Christians because they feel like they're judgmental. Look, if you do this deed, you're not going to a good place. And I'm not going to mention no celebrity names or anybody, but a lot of these celebrities that ended their lives. A lot of these, you hear some people that ended their lives because they were fighting through a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And I see it a lot of times. They be on posters saying that now you're an angel and stuff. And I'm sitting there cringing because no, they're not.
Nah, I just read you the statistic for 2023.
But
the happiest the happiest city in the USA at one point is now one of the highest suicide rates, which is I think Casper, Wyoming, I think, for this past year.
Yeah.
So it's like you really don't know.
But listen, like I said, they're not angels.
It's not.
They're not free.
No.
Just because and that's another thing, and just because you do something like that, and that's another hard fact I want you to understand. You think you ended your problem by ending your life? Your problem never stopped, because now you got a bigger problem. Listen to what I'm saying. I don't try to be judgmental on a lot of things. I believe people, there's room for growth on any realm or aspect of life, because, I'm a sinner myself. I always said that. I have my own faults against that I'm fighting with. There's still parts of me that I feel that if I died today, I'll probably go to hell myself. But I'm letting you know right now, if you make that leap into eternal death, you're going to regret it for the rest of your afterlife.
Yeah, for the rest of your spiritual existence. Because
rest of your afterlife.
Yeah, rest of your existence.
There's no peace where you're going to go. Your peace would never come after you kill yourself.
My whole thinking is to send yourself there quicker, like it doesn't make any sense. But then again, I'm at a different mindset, because even as a teen, that was something like unaliving was definitely something that had crept into my own head at one point. And it's not to say all teenagers go through that, but the stats do say that a good chunk of teens, especially nowadays, they do experience some form of that, or even that thought process, due to social media, due to accessibility, due to people making it seem like it's okay.
Due to peer pressure.
Also, there's also a fame thing around it. Like, people get, more recognized, if you really think about it, the ones that did it. It's sad. It's sad. It's a sad state that we're living in, that some things like that get glorified. And it's no, we want people to survive and, continue on and be able to live another day. Because that's the thing, at the end of the day, even if you struggle, one of the things I've known, I get it, you're struggling in the moment, but just take every moment as a gift. Once you realize each moment is a gift, it makes things a little bit easier. So it's not even telling the person, live one more day. Just live one more moment. Just live one more. Look, you just survived 5 more seconds. Let's do another 5 seconds. Just you being able to breathe and be here and present is a gift. And it's continuing on having that gift of life. And I get some problems might seem astronomical, But at the end of the day, things will pass and life will get better. Because who would have thought? Look, you 42, because you thought you were going to die at 21, 20, 19. And look, you're 42. You got a pretty successful career, even though, you know, some parts of it you don't like. You're doing the music. You reach out to people that you never thought in a million years you would reach. And you have 3 beautiful boys who all of them adore you. They're knuckleheads, but they all adore you. You know, you have friendships that are literally life, you know, like it's one of those things where you don't realize it in your younger years when you're knee deep in your depression. But then when you come out of it and you see the fruits of the labor that that would have been cut off.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. 3 lives, technically speaking, would have been completely non-existent.
And that's another point. Like, you don't know your story until you play it through.
Yep.
You don't. Okay, you wanna go?
No.
Okay.
Think about it, Jared. If your dad would have decided to unalive himself, you would not be here.
I'll give this. I'll keep it.
You would not have been here.
Bye.
I wouldn't have been here.
It's
Teresa wouldn't have been in here.
Because you guys born all things.
Yeah.
You about to die. You about to die.
Well, that's of old age. That's a whole different topic. But unaliving is if you inflict,
10 minutes.
murder to yourself.
Heck no.
So, like, you know, so that's the hard reality of it. Like I said, it's a big indictment of where your faith lies in with God. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me tell, like, I say this to people who just generally just don't believe, or just a person who just seeking knowledge. Let me tell you something. If you're going about a situation, and this is what I mentioned, Pop said I made a great point, and I said this in the song. If you go about a situation and it's getting you to the point that it's breaking you, especially the situations where it can pop up against you, and it can leave a dire, it's like you get a phone call and somebody's did something against your children or something like that. Because me and you had a situation like that a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I told them, I said, we tend to react to a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And because we react to a problem, we don't think rationally. I told them, real man does not react to a problem. He responds to a problem.
Yes, sir.
And I brought up an analogy about, sports, how, if you playing like football, and because he played football, I said, when you play a sport and you see that the method is not working in the first half, I was like, you would go to this halftime making side adjustments. If they're great against this, we're gonna do this. That way we can make the proper adjustments so that the defense won't know how we're doing it, and we'll get points and we'll win the game.
Yeah.
And I told them, I said, you got to understand the power of your enemy. And this is another point I want everybody to know. You got to know the power of your enemy. You got to know what he's capable of. Because if you don't know what the Satan is capable of, how would you know his move when he throws it at you? There are many things that, that we don't know that might be thrown against us. You know what I mean? But because we know that the enemy will do anything in our power to destroy us, to destroy our families, to destroy our friends, to destroy the connection that we have with Jesus Christ, we're already going to be armored up when he attacks. And that's the thing I told them. I said the definition of insanity is when you do the same thing constantly over and over again. If you keep reacting to a problem, reacting to the problem, and it does not work, and it gets you angrier and angrier to the point that you can't take it no more, and you start isolating yourself to the point that I don't want to live here no more. You keep doing the same process, and you think you're going to get a different result. That's the definition of insanity. And I told him, I said, because now I made him, like, at that point when I was talking to him, I made him understand that, okay, maybe suicide is not the best answer. And I'm saying it's not maybe, it isn't the best answer.
No, I was gonna say that.
So now I said, now like, he altered the thinking about it, suicide. So my question, then I asked him, I said, what is bringing you to this point? And I had to make them understand that if the method that you're doing is not working, just like I said before with the analogy of the first half of a football game, you have to change your method of handling situations. And I told them, I said, bless you. And I told them, I said, you already know a different method. I said, you talking to 3 people who are embodied, and I say, you know, and I keep telling people, I'm not like fully, you know, saved and sanctified like my dad is. But I said, but I have something in me that makes me understand that when the situation arises, I have a God that's more powerful than any God, to conquer any battles that come across my life.